Good afternoon. I would like to call to order our meeting today for the Allegheny County Board of Education, Tuesday, June 7th, 2022 at 5:30 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, Mr. Llewellyn will read closed session summaries from executive sessions held on May 10th.
The Allegheny County Board of Education met in closed session on May 10th, 2022 at 4 p.m. here at the central office. The purpose of the closed session was to consult with legal counsel, consider matters related to collective bargaining, and discuss a personnel matter. The board voted unanimously to close the session. The topics discussed were summer hours, negotiations update, parent legal issue, and the authority to close the meeting is found in the General Provisions article of the Maryland Code, Section 305B, 1, 7, and 9.
Thank you, Mr. Llewellyn. At this time, can I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion by Mr. Farrell.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Fraley. All those in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. We have some retirees with us this evening we are going to recognize. Mr. Farrell is going to be reading down through the list for us, and if you're present, we do have a certificate that Ms. Frank will be presenting, so you can come forward whenever your name is called.
First, these are in order of years of service. So first up is Miss Jeannie Harden, 45 years of service, administrative assistant, central office. Second, Mr. Rick Scaletta, 44 years, teacher at Westmar. Rick's not here with us. Ellen Walker, 43 years, teacher at Georges Creek. Joe Robertson, 42 years, library media specialist, Cass Valley. Robert Thompson, Robert's here with us, 42 years, teacher at Fort Hill. Esther Greco, 40 years, Student Services Secretary, Central Office. Mark Morrill, 39 years, Supervisor of Transportation. Scott Hebner, 39 years, Teacher, Elementary Music. Linda Ketterman, 36 years, School Counselor, Flintstone. John Howard, 34 years, teacher at Fort Hill. Krista Trenham, 34 years, teacher at Cache Valley. Barbara Yoder, 33 years, teacher at Fort Hill. Janet Lancaster, 33 years, cafeteria assistant, Mountain Ridge. Maria Weber, 33 years, teacher at Westernport. Brenda Ayers, 32 years, instructional assistant, Bell Elementary. Darlene Fletcher, 32 years, instructional assistant, Mountain Ridge. Larry Jackson, 32 years, teacher at Allegany. Eric Yoder, 31 years, teacher at Allegany. Corey Humbertson, 31 years, teacher at Cache Valley. Tara Fazenbaker, 30 years, principal at Georges Creek Elementary. Cynthia Cecil, 30 years, teacher at Bell Elementary. Darlene Haynes, 30 years, teacher at John Humbard. Lisa Harris, instructional assistant, 30 years at Bell Elementary. Cynthia Parsons, 30 years, teacher at Frost Elementary. Lisa Lehman, 28 years, instructional assistant, Washington Middle. Terry Lavin, 27 years, secretary at Mountain Ridge. Linda Kenny, 26 years, instructional assistant, Mount Savage. Jay Moon, 24 years, teacher at Bell Elementary. Edward Wagus, 22 years, bus driver, transportation. Michelle Shook, 21 years, instructional assistant, Washington Middle. Kelly Mallow, 20 years, bus driver, transportation. Brenda Blackburn, 20 years, teacher at the Career Center. Candy Armbruster, 20 years, instructional assistant, Northeast. Janice Lewis, 20 years, teacher at Bell Elementary. Maureen Spencer, 19 years, special ed facilitator, Career Center. Mark Malone, 19 years, teacher at Fort Hill. Mark must have left. Jolene Shippey, 19 years, teacher, Career Center. Cynthia Everline, 19 years, cafeteria assistant, Mountain Ridge. Melissa Lopez, 16 years, instructional assistant, Mountain Ridge. Cheryl Riley, 16 years, instructional assistant, John Humbird. Carla Deal, 16 years, secretary, Allegany. Carla Bateson, 16 years, instructional assistant, Bell Elementary. Joel Lambert, 15 years, cafeteria manager, Westernport. Karen Hayes, 15 years, instructional assistant, Parkside. Harry Morgan, 13 years, teacher at Career Center. And Carla Nickel, 12 years, head custodian, John Humbird. I think that's all.
All right, how about one more round of applause for all of our retirees? Thank you all. Congratulations, and you're welcome to go ahead and exit if you would prefer, or you can stay for the entire meeting. Whatever. If you think that's fun as your first activity of retirement, have at it. You can join us. Okay, at this time, we'll be recognizing our Student Salute winners for 2022, and we have Miss Mary Kleitz from WCBC and Julie McCoy from the Chamber of Commerce.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having us here this evening. We always get very excited about the high school student salutes. I'm the general manager at CBC Radio, for those of you who don't know. Mr. Blank, members of the board, and of course our special guest. This is a really important thing that we think, we believe it's important, and I think the students and the parents involved who have received these scholarships over the years have really appreciated them. I know I would have as a parent. My kids weren't eligible, though. So anyway, I just wanted to give you a little bit of background about the award, and then Miss Julie is going to award the scholarships. I just want to take a brief moment and extend sincere thanks to all the organizations involved, especially Mrs. Mia Cross from here at the Board of Education. She gathers all the applications and sends them over to the Chamber of Commerce. And then, of course, Julie and her staff. They take the names off so nobody knows whose application they're looking at to keep it fair. And then the Education Committee decides based on a criteria that has been set 20 years ago, 20 plus years ago, which students are eligible for the award. And then they also coordinate with Frostburg State. Once the committee chooses the students, then they track back and get the names and call Frostburg to make sure that the students are registered to go to Frostburg State, because we don't want to waste the money. We want it to be used. And Frostburg State helps us with the scholarship and in kind. And we also have a sponsor on the radio when the children's names and their accomplishments are announced. And this year that was Chessie Federal Credit Union, so we owe them a great deal of thanks. I'd like to reiterate to the board and Mr. Blank our sincere appreciation for everything that you all do to support this scholarship program in rewarding and encourage our area students to achieve academically. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Julie, and she's going to make the announcements of the students' names.
Hi, thank you. I'm Julie McCoy, the Executive Director for the Chamber of Commerce. I also want to say what a great joy it is to go through those scholarship applications and read them. There's so much negativity, but I have to give credit to the local students and the local school system, because we have some great kids in this community that are going to go far. And I just saw the report today on all of the achievements of this year's graduating classes, and it's just incredible. So with that, it's a great honor to announce that this year's Student Salute Program scholarships will be awarded to Miss Abigail Spangler of Fort Hill High School, who will receive a $5,000 one-year scholarship to Frostburg State University.
Is Abigail here? Come on, please.
Congratulations, Abigail. And then we have, Haley Llewellyn from Mountain Ridge High School and Noah Logston from Allegany High School are our second and third place recipients for a $500 scholarship each to Frostburg State University.
Or either of them, or you guys? Come on up here, please.
Congratulations. Thank you for submitting your applications, and good luck to you. Thank you. Thank you.
If I may take just one more moment. This year's been a little difficult for the Chamber because Frostburg State installed a new computer system. And as I mentioned, we try to make sure that the students are registered at Frostburg. So we're a little later in the year getting those out to the kids. But I really appreciate you guys working with us and permitting us to be here. Thanks again.
Mary, we appreciate the work that you and the Chamber both do. I mean, it's immense, and I know the kids appreciate it, and we on the board, I'm sure, appreciate it.
Believe me, Mia and the Chamber do the majority of the legwork they really do. I mean, we load them on the air and we get Frostburg State and Chessie and other people to be involved. You're very welcome. We're proud that we can, in a way, give back to the community, because that's how this started with the station's 45th or 15th anniversary. And we just celebrated our 46th. So we've been doing it for a long time, and we're going to keep on doing it.
Thank you.
Congratulations, guys. You'll be hearing from you. Okay?
Okay, we are going to move ahead to the finance update next, and then we will be coming back to the recognition of the state championship winners.
Mary, you just busted to get up here.
Yep, Mr. McKenzie, it's all you.
Well, good evening. One of the big items on the agenda tonight, at least in my world, is the request for the approval of the budget. So I did want to take you through some of the changes that are reflected in the packet that you all received for this evening, that were kind of outside of what we had previously been through. So you'll notice the total unrestricted budget is now $129,329,000. And that's approximately $5,549,510 higher than the original entry. And you'll recall the majority of that increase, it relates to the projects that were approved for Mountain Ridge and Allegany, which totaled $4,417,000, plus I added an additional 3% for retainage, and that will be funded through fund balance in FY23. The other $1 million was being discussed with MSDE prior to the original submission, and it's something that Mr. Blank and I had spoken with to MSDE about. For that, I've added $500,000 in additional fuel cost to transportation, which as fuel continues to increase, it's becoming more and more of a concern. Even though we had added some additional money in this year's original budget, gas has continued, or diesel has continued to increase. The other increases were within mid-level administration for $100,000 and instructional equipment for various projects for $400,000. Then you also notice that the county fully funded our request, which was for flat funding this year, and the state actually increased by 6.4%, which is primarily as a result of Blueprint funding, this being the first big year for Blueprint funding. So that's kind of where the variances were from the original plan that you all had approved and we had sent over to the county. So does anyone have any questions?
Ms. Fraley?
Just for my own clarification, the $1 million difference was extra revenue that we got from the state? Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep, that's correct.
That's all. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Mr. McKenzie? Okay,
Thank you.
short and sweet. Thank you. Okay, moving into unfinished business, we have some policies for second read, and I will turn it over to Mr. Llewellyn.
The first policy I have for you tonight is policy CF. This is for second reading, so if you pass it, it becomes effective immediately. The policy committee recommends the deletion of the reference to the board's bylaws. The board doesn't have any bylaws, none that I can ever remember them having, so we're recommending the removal of those words.
Motion to approve policy CF for second reading as described.
Motion by Mrs. Fraley, second by Mr. Farrell. All those in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Next, you have before you policy CFE, school climate. We're simply updating the discrimination language in this policy. We're doing a comprehensive review of all policies and found that this did not get caught earlier. So we're just asking for that language to be updated to bring it in compliance with state and federal law.
Motion to approve CFE, second reading.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Frank, second by Mr. Farrell. All in favor? Passes unanimously.
Next is JKCA. This is a brand new policy for second reading. This is required by a change in state law from last legislative session, and so we're required to have it.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Farrell, second by Ms. Fraley. All in favor? Passes unanimously.
Next, the policy committee is recommending the repeal of policy CJ, Administrative Intern Program. That program is no longer in existence, and so it was identified for repeal.
Move, file CJ.
I wasn't sure. Okay, motion by Mr. Farrell, second by Ms. Fraley. All in favor? Passes unanimously again. Thank you.
There you go. Next you have, next and finally for old business, policy CK, for administrative consultants. This is not the practice, and we don't, it's not recommended to be the practice anymore. And so the policy committee is recommending this for repeal as well.
Motion to approve the repeal of policy CK, administrative consultants.
Second. Oh, you can do.
All right. Motion by Mrs. Fraley, second by Ms. Frank. All in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, we did not have anyone signed up to speak today, so we're going to move past hearing of constituents into new business, and Mrs. Tracy Leonard will be coming in to talk about preseason practice heat acclimation guidelines.
Good evening. I'm here tonight to speak a little bit about the new heat acclimatization guidelines that have been set forth by MPSSAA. In response to the Elijah Gorman Act that goes into effect July 1, MPSSAA's medical board of advisors have come up with a new model policy for heat acclimatization, and I would like for you to review those and possibly adopt those so we can replace our current heat acclimatization guidelines and be in line with these new robust guidelines for heat acclimatization.
Motion to approve the guidelines as set forth in the documents that we received.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Fraley, second by Mr. Farrell. All in favor? Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
That was easy, huh?
It was very easy. Thank you very much.
Okay, and anyone? Okay. Okay, so, I'm sorry. Happy to answer any questions or?
So motion to approve the financial budget amendment for the FY23 budget so that it will be as presented earlier today to include the updated revenue amounts.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Fraley, second by Mr. Farrell. All in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. McKenzie.
Thank you.
Okay, we are going to recognize our state championship winners now, and I'll turn it over to Mr. Blank.
Good evening. To start off, we're going to begin with the Allegany softball team. I see Mrs. Loppert and Coach Winter. If either of you want to come and introduce who you have here, and then we have a plaque to give to the representation. Dave, just push that button and it lights up, then you're good.
We good?
Now you're on, buddy.
Hey, how about you? Yeah, the four members of the team are Avery Miller, Riley Gallagher, Scott Porter, and Abby Britton. They were the ones that really wanted to come. Like I said, a couple of them want to speak for a second or two. Coach Gallagher and Coach Britton are both here too. The other coaches couldn't be here tonight, but just on a quick note, it was just a privilege to coach the girls. They're awesome. I didn't know many of them when I started. I knew Abby and Riley just a little bit from their dads, but getting to know them all year. They're all wonderful student athletes. They're great people, and they won a state championship, and they absolutely deserve to. They worked hard all year. So I just wanted to thank everybody for their support. And Sky, you want to go?
Coach, could you share with us, I thought it was interesting at the school, mention how many times these girls were behind and when they were behind. And
Oh yeah, that was like I said, I don't even think they knew it, and I didn't know it until I went over stuff at the end. But when we get down the first inning of the state championship game, 1-0, that was the first time we were behind all year, and it was to a team that had beat them last year and a pitcher they knew very well. But I just said it spoke volumes for them to be able to come back and tie the game, and then go ahead and hold the lead. So we had belief in them all year. The coaches continuously told them that they were going to win the state championship, and they believed it. But it was absolutely the young women who did it. But yeah, we were down one time. It was the first thing of the state championship. I appreciate it, Sky. Come on.
Hi everyone, I'm Skylar Porter. I just want to say thanks to my coaches and my team for being back with me all season and just pushing me to be better and do better. I'm incredibly proud of my team for all that we've accomplished this year, and just we'll be back next year.
Hi, I'm Abby. I was the pitcher in the state championship game, and I would just like to highlight how well our team came together and really functioned as one to really, come back from a 1-0 deficit in the first inning. Obviously, we were all on our edge of our seat, but I feel like we really came together when the times needed us to and functioned as one to be able to produce runs. And Riley did an amazing job of getting on base and getting in scoring position, and then we just made things happen to get her around. It might not have been some of the best things, pop flies, but it did what it needed to do, and we brought home a state title to Western Maryland.
Anybody else? If not, if Principal Loppert and the coaches and players, would you please meet me here in the middle to accept the plaque? I want to be on the camera. Come on over here so we can get it. On behalf of the board, they don't take direction.
She told us not to go.
I didn't know.
I understand. I would be the same way, so appreciate it. Ladies, congratulations.
Thank you.
We're really proud of it. This is for you all to take this.
Thank you.
Let's see which group is next. So, where do you want to step to? Say if you want. coach or principal.
We are going to recognize the Mountain Ridge track state champions at this time. If the coach and or principal want to come forward, thank you.
Well, thank you very much. This is my third time here, which is a reflection of how talented our kids have been. Some are repeats and some are new additions to reaching the highest level at the state meet. We, as a team, came in second, which was extremely frustrating because we beat the team that finished first 3 times during the regular season. But unlike other sports, track and wrestling share a commonality that everybody goes to the same meet. Everybody goes to the same region stuff. You don't eliminate teams. And if you have a big team, some of your lesser kids get pushed out, and they happen to have a couple elite athletes that we just couldn't compete with. But I couldn't be more proud of the boys that I coached. And if I could be prouder, it would be the girls I coached, because the girls weren't second in the state, but they came a long way from where we started, and we're real young and we're real excited. So that's kind of a summation of our program. We do everything together. We go to, we come out of the locker room, we stretch together, we try out together, we practice together, we compete together, and we root together. And I say that because there are programs in the state where the track team is divorced, and they argue with each other, and they don't talk to one another, and the kids don't root for each other. And it is a real crime to see that. So I'm very happy with our coaching staff and happy with the situation at the school. We also make it a point to respect the other athletes, and we were very excited for the winners at Allegany and at Fort Hill. Fort Hill has an excellent girls team, and Allegany has an outstanding elite athlete. And we look at that as just a reflection of the county and not something to root against, but and if anything, to promote and to push forward. And we'll see that happen in the next couple of years as well. So I have 2 individuals that are here from my state championship 4x8 repeating state championship team. If they would come forward, Reese Howard is a senior. It's very difficult. I put him on a school bus when he was a 9th grader. We went to Spring Mills down in West Virginia over Easter, and 2 of my kids weren't here, and I went back and said, "You ever ran an 800? No. And now he's running 202, and that's 2 times around the track. It's real fast, and he is really good at doing it. And then our newcomer this year was Will Haberline. Will had to fight 3 of his teammates for a spot to get on that team, and we did that at the county race. And the other county teams didn't know that we were doing that, but we, as a team, were really excited about that race. One of those young men, and it happened to be Will, who came back from an illness and really showed himself, and then here he stands as a state champion. So I wish both of those, especially Reese going off to school, all the success in the world. Will be back next year with one other returning runner, and that's Casey Keller, and he's an excellent runner. He's a 2-miler or 1-miler, and just looks like a spider legs just flying around. We'll see if we can't replace people and be back up here on the podium again next year to receive awards. And then last but not least, after the 2 guys is Mary Delaney. She's also a very special runner. She repeated the indoor state championship. She was the mile champion, or what we would call the 1600, and she did that again at the state meet and repeated. Well, she didn't repeat. She just the next season got it. It's very difficult as an athlete to peak and then get rest, and then to peak and then get rest and then to peak. And she managed to do that exceptionally well this year, and we hope that she'll be able to do that next year. She'll be an incoming senior. So that's our team. That's as much as I have. I have really good kids. I have great support from our administration, and I also have junior striders, which I'm missing, which is breaking my heart because I love that program. We're down at AC right now, and I'm going to dismiss myself when I'm finished and go back to that event, but I do appreciate the time to speak about the kids. Thank you.
Mr. Baker, or Coach Baker, a couple things. I shared with an exec session, if you recall, and it's ironic that Coach brought that up. I was at the Mountain Ridge, I was at several of the track meets, and the one at Mountain Ridge where all of our county was there a couple times. And the track and field, I shared with the exec board, in exec session with the board, how amazing that I watched, and I know who it is, so I'm going to embarrass him, but I shared with everyone how there was a relay, and the teams, some teams were done, and some were still coming around. It wasn't a relay, it was a distance. And some were still coming around. And I looked out, and I saw Mr. Howard cheering for some of the kids to try to get a PR to push themselves. And I told the board how Western Maryland, Allegheny County, it's amazing that what the coaches and what the staff has implemented in these kids, because that's what it's all about. And I stood there and watched that. So I was so proud to be part of the county to see kids do that. And I watched. They weren't, I don't know, Reese, if you knew who they were, it was irrelevant. They didn't come over and talk later. He was cheering for members on the other team. And I see that throughout. That was the last one I had seen. But that was the example. And you said that, and that's what you teach, and that's what the kids learn. So congratulations to you. I do have a plaque for Reese and Will and your other members. I'll give to you to take.
Great. You guys want to get the other ones, get married? I certainly appreciate it. Thank you.
Mr. Carter, you're not allowed in. You come on up here. Come on. Congratulations.
Thank you.
He told the boys to take the other two.
Doesn't matter. Do you all have everyone? Either way.
Well, unlike the team, we were unable to do everything together because of the stadium renovation, which is going wonderfully. But I was at Fort Hill with the throwers, and then Coach Alkire, Coach Chandler, Coach Morgan, Coach Bender, they were all down at, I think, AC sometimes Allegany. It was hard for me to keep track of them too. But even throughout all that, we still came together as a team. The girls overall finished 4th at the state. The boys, not as well, but they definitely have much potential in the future. But definitely, as Mr. Blank said earlier, the way that the track meets are run, it would not happen without Coach Beiser, definitely Coach Morgan, Coach Chandler, and Coach Alkire, Coach Baker. I'm probably forgetting someone somewhere. But we all worked together. And in fact, we had a school come from West Virginia that came to the meet and said, "You guys are running this really fast." We're like, "Is that a problem?" So they do a really good job, and we do work together. And it shows when we go to the state meet, especially with the throwing area. We have all the throwers over there together. And we've kind of set up a campsite, basically, and it shows. So we did very good going down at the state level. Overall, we have 2 state champs who could not be here tonight. One you all are very familiar with, Brooklyn Noel. She's at senior week, rightfully so. She won the state championship in the triple jump. She actually went undefeated all year in that event, and she tied our school record with a jump of 36 feet, 11 inches, and that record was set in 1984. So that's been there for a very long time. She also scored 2nd in the 100 hurdles. That was her best time she's ever run in high school, and it was a really good race down to the very end. And then she also placed 3rd in long jump and 5th in high jump. So Brooklyn, when you see her, you have to congratulate her, but she couldn't be here. Then we have Carter Hess, who is only a sophomore, and he won the state championship in the men's disc, which at that young age as a male is very unheard of. So he threw 141 feet, 2 inches, beating the 2nd place guy by 12 feet. He also broke our sophomore record. He's also undefeated in the discus all season, and he's only 8.5 feet away from our varsity discus record. So the future is bright there for Carter. Now the 2 who are here, I have, which one of you should I go first? We'll put you first. I'm also related to him, so this might be more difficult. But we have one of the events that people shy away from is the pole vault. When you watch it and you see them go up on that pole and go over, it takes a lot of guts. So we kind of labeled my niece as being the one to try that. I think she kind of volunteered for it herself in her freshman year. We had a short season, so she came pretty close to breaking our freshman record, but there just wasn't enough for her to do it that year. But this year, she broke that sophomore record in the pole vault, and she also broke our overall varsity record in the pole vault with 9 feet, 7 inches. That also gives her the state championship, and she's also the defending state champion from indoor track as well, and she's only a sophomore. So, Hannah, do you want to come on up, I guess? You want to give her her plaque now? Do you want to do them both?
Okay, and then the other one that is here tonight is Carly. She is my daughter, in case you haven't figured that out. She, this was her first state meet, and it was also Hannah's first state outdoor meet because the way things went last year with COVID. So she ended up pulling out a throw of 114 feet, 10 inches, not just once at the state meet, but twice. She threw that same exact throw 2 times. And she beat the second place thrower by 4.5 feet. She went undefeated all season with the exception of one track meet where Allegany's thrower Brandy, who couldn't be here tonight, did surpass her in one of the meets. But it was all fun, and those girls have supported each other all year. So Carly is only a junior, and we're looking forward to her coming back next year as well. So we're looking pretty strong in the future. So Carly, you want to come on up?
So as Coach Sarah said, we kind of run meets together. A lot of places, Hagerstown down that way, they actually have people come in and run the meet for them. Up here, we have to do that as coaches. So I first want to say thank you to you guys for buying the timing system for us. You guys bought us that timing system. That really has helped us out tremendously. The old timing system, there was no caller to it, so you were trying to sit there and guess all night who was first, who was second, that sort of thing. So the new timing system is a big help for us. So we had 2 state championships this year in track. The first one is Brandy Gogenauer. Brandy was on beach this week, so she's not here. She won in the shot put, throwing 37 feet 3 inches. She also competed in the discus. And discus, she placed 4th. The shot put, the whole year, it seemed like she's kept wanting to better herself. She broke the record, our school record, early in the year, and it was like every single meet she kept breaking it. Our next one is Avery Miller. Avery qualified in the 100, 400, 800, and long jump. Some of you know she also is on the softball team, and due to the whole rain delay and all that stuff, she had to make the very difficult decision of whether to come to the state meet for the whole entire event or to go to softball. And of course, I think she chose the right decision, state championship with softball. And I mean, that's hard as a coach to say that, but yeah. As soon as the softball game was over, she rushed over, still made the 800 long jump, winning both events. In the 800, Mary Delaney and her had a race, neck and neck race. Like the rest of the competition was back here. Them two went neck and neck the whole way. She ran a 2:17 in the 800, breaking our school record again, and was only 1.5 seconds from the state record. She also long jumped 18 feet 11 inches, which was only 6 inches from the state record. All of this while being a freshman. So I'm sure she's got many school records and state records to break going forward. Had she been there, I really think that she would have also won the 400 and given it her best shot in the 100. In doing so, we were 5th in points, and it was pretty much the whole West region was the top in points. Had she been able to win the 400 and potentially score in the 100, we probably would have been within that top 3 as well. We had a really good girls team this year. Several qualified, several scored down there, but these were our 2 state championships. Avery also broke our school records in the 400, 800, and long jump. And saying the records, it seemed like it was a year that like we were just breaking every single school record. And it was funny because we just got a new school track record board put in the school that we just went through putting all that together. And it was like we broke 6 records this year in the track squad. So it was like we just waited one more year. But it was a good season for the girls. The girls program, we had very strong numbers. They were all freshmen and sophomores. So here's to next year. Thank you guys again.
Okay, congratulations to all of you, and you are welcome to go ahead and step out if you prefer. Okay, we're going to move back into new business now, and Miss Debbie Matheny will be presenting approval for the special education staffing plan.
Good evening. So this evening I'm presenting the special ed staffing plan. Every county in Maryland is required to have a plan that's presented to their local board for approval. And I believe that board members do have a copy. Basically, the plan...
There's a clicker there for you, Sue.
Oh, great. Thank you. Ooh, okay. So the plan requires us to discuss maintenance of effort, and we are required by law, as you know, to meet maintenance of effort every year. Allegheny County has not used federal funds to reduce the level of expenditures from local funds, and so we will meet the criteria established in IDEA concerning maintenance of effort for this year. There's an application of funds that we make to receive federal funds from the U.S. Department of Education, and you can see these are the funds that we receive in the areas that we receive them in. The state pass-through grant is used to fund staffing positions. There's also a portion there that goes to our non-public schools that's required by law, and we use those funds to provide speech therapy into the local private schools. There's a local implementation for results fund that's used to support our programs in early childhood and secondary transition and our access, equity, and progress. There's a special ed advisory committee, and there are funds to support those. There's a preschool pass-through funds that we use to support a preschool special education teaching position. There are family partnership funds that funds our Partners for Success Family Support Center and also funds for our infant and toddler program. The grants for these funds were all submitted on May 27th. And so the meat of the plan then is, of course, the numbers. We currently have 1,242 students who are receiving special ed services. We do attempt to maintain a ratio of 1 to 12 to 15 students for our students who are in an inclusive setting. Many of our student-teacher ratios are less than that, but that is the number that we aim for. Our related services are provided by both full-time and contractual staff. We currently have 431 students receiving OT and 268 students receiving PT in the county, occupational therapy and physical therapy. We do have a contracted provider to provide those services. For speech-language pathology, we attempt to keep those caseloads at approximately 50, and currently we have 710 students who are receiving speech therapy in the county. So last year we had 86.4 teaching positions. This year we're looking at 87.4, an increase of 1 position. That position is in our infant and toddler program. Our numbers there are rising, and we really need another teacher to help support that. We have 91 full-time instructional assistants, and I should point out these funds are paid for by local and federal. These positions are paid for by local and federal funds. So we have 91 full-time instructional assistants. We're looking to maintain that number. We have part-time instructional assistants as well. Last year we had 30. We're looking for 37 next year, an increase of 7 positions. We have 27.4 related service providers, and we have 25.2 SEFs and specialists. That's an increase of 1 position over the prior year. We do have a grant that's funding a transition coach, secondary transition coach for us. In addition to our local funds and our federal funds, we have Blueprint for Maryland's Future funds. That's an allotment that's given to every county in Maryland. We're looking to use our funds to support additional staff to maintain the ratios that we're seeking. And so for teachers and specialists, we're looking for a total of 10 positions from that funding, which is an increase of 3 over the current year. And we're looking to increase our full-time instructional assistant positions to 10, which is an increase of 4 over the current year. So we're looking to maximize those funds for staff to ensure our student-teacher ratios, which, as I said, we're looking at a 1 to 12 to 15 for our children who have more intense needs and are in specialized programs. We look at a 1 to 10 ratio at the secondary level and a 1 to 6 ratio at the elementary level. And so that's the basic pieces of our staffing plan, and we are seeking approval this evening for that plan. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Are there any questions for Mrs. Matheny? Mr. Farrell?
I do have, and I don't know if this applies to this or not, but it's my understanding we're going to move a lot of the special ed programs to South Penn next year.
That is, I'm sorry, go ahead, sir.
I guess my concern is South Penn's the largest elementary school already, and are we going to be able to do that without any problem?
So that's something that we're currently investigating. That's not a finalized decision at this point, but at Cache Valley Elementary School, a full 50% of our children who are in self-contained specialized programs live in the South Penn district. So we are looking at the possibility of moving our young children, just K-2, who live in that district, moving their programs to South Penn so that they'll be in their neighborhood school, and then can move on up through and into Washington where the middle school program is. It's something that we're still investigating. We're looking at room space and that type of thing. So it's not something that's final at this point, but it is under consideration.
And my other thing is, if you are doing that, and I'm sure you're going to research it and figure it out the best way you can, will you have enough staff to be able to accomplish that? Because I know they're with some of the kids, they're in different grades. For example, some kids might be in kindergarten, first and second, or something of that order. Will the staffing be enough to accomplish the goal of getting them to achieve as much as they can?
Yes, we would look, if we're moving students from one building to another, obviously we'd look at possible staff moves as well to accompany those students. But I think with the additional teaching slots that we're putting into this plan, that yes, we will be able to meet the ratios we're looking to meet for those students.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mrs. Matheny? Okay, is there a motion to approve the special education staffing plan for fiscal year 2023?
I'd like to move that we approve the special education staffing plan fiscal year 2023.
Okay, motion by Ms. Frank, second by Ms. Fraley. All in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. And it looks like you have one more for us. Okay.
I do. I think I actually have two more. We have the occupational and physical therapy bid. Each year we bid out our OT and PT contract, and we have done so this year. Per the MSD approved bidding procedure, a notice of bid was placed in the Times News. It also appeared on our website and on the Maryland Marketplace. We did have 11 companies submit bids. They were all 11 eligible bidders. We had a committee of 4 individuals, myself, Dr. Sarah Welsh, who's our coordinator of equity and student outcomes, Mr. McKenzie, who's our chief financial officer, and Kathy Brown, who's our coordinator of infant and toddler programs, review those bids. We used a rubric, and each bid was assigned a score. And based on that, we are recommending that school therapy services be awarded the bid for the 22-23 school year.
Motion to approve the request to have the OT-PT contract for the 2022-23 school year awarded to school therapy services.
Motion by Mrs. Fraley. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Frank. Any questions or concerns for Ms. Matheny? All in favor? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
And I have one additional. This year, for the first time, we bid out our contract for individuals, interpreters for individuals who are deaf or hard of hearing. We followed the same process as we did for the OT and PT. The bidding procedure required a notice be placed in the paper on our website and on the Maryland Marketplace. We did that. We received 6 bids. All 6 of those were considered eligible. The same committee reviewed those using a rubric. And based on that, we are recommending that DefNet be the awarded the bid for our interpreting services for the 22-23 school year.
I have a question. Can I ask now first? Yeah, go ahead. Okay. You said for the first time we're bidding it out. Did we have our own internal before, or this is a new service?
We've used contracts before.
Okay.
And because of the amount that we need, it's now necessary that we bid.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions for Mrs. Matheny? Is there a motion?
I'd like to move that we approve the bid for the interpreter for individuals who are deaf and hard of hearing fiscal year 23 be awarded to DefNet.
Second.
Thank you very much.
Oh, did I skip one?
Your mic wasn't on.
Okay, we're down here. Okay. Okay. Moving into first read of policies under new business, I will turn it over to Mr. Llewellyn.
We have before you policy EA, which was titled Educational Support Services. And Policy Committee reviewed this as part of our comprehensive review and found that we needed to clarify that this policy is for non-instructional support services and to further clarify what non-instructional support services we're talking about. So we have provided the definition. So the Policy Committee recommends you pass this change on first reading.
Motion to approve policy EA, non-instructional support services for first reading.
Motion by Mrs. Fraley, a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Farrell, all in favor. Passes unanimously.
Next, I have a regulation for you. This is under old business. You passed the second reading of policy JKCA, student registered sex offenders entry on school property. This is the accompanying regulation. This is what's based off the model policy from MSDE, and it's required by state law. And this is a review, so unless there is a motion, then it becomes effective.
Are there any questions or concerns regarding the regulation? Okay, thank you.
Next, we have policy DIE. This is another one that was found during a comprehensive review and needed some change. You'll see the strike-through language for this. This is the audits policy. The board has not, in recent memory, published an annual report. There's not, the policy committee discussed that there's not a need for that annual report, so we'd like to strike that language from policy DIE. This will be first reading.
Motion to approve first reading of policy DIE, audits as presented.
Motion by Mrs. Fraley, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Frank, all in favor? Thank you. This time, can I ask for a motion to meet in executive session on August 9th, 2022, as necessary?
Motion to meet in executive session on August 9th as necessary.
Motion by Mr. Farrell, second.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Fraley, all in favor? Motion passes unanimously. Our student member of the board is not with us this evening. Are there any board member updates? Ms. Frank?
I would just like to quickly say, because we will not be meeting in July, that the primary election is July 19th. And as far as this board is concerned, we have 7 candidates vying for 3 positions. So in the primary, the 7 will get reduced to 6, and those 6 will move forward to the general election. So this is an important job that we all do. We would all agree with that, and I just would urge everybody to get to learn what you can about the 7 candidates and make sure that you vote on July 19th. Thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Frank. Any other updates, Mr. Farrell?
I'd like to say tomorrow, today was the last day for students in this county. Tomorrow was the last day for teachers. I think they're in for 2 hours or so, Mr. Blank. Hopefully they'll be out by lunchtime. And, you know, I hope that all of them have a wonderful summer. Hope they enjoy themselves, and we look forward to seeing them back in the fall. Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. I'd also just like to point out, like somebody said earlier, that the press release that went out today about the class of 2022 and all the accolades that they received. I suggest everyone go out and look at that and see how well our county is doing across the entire county, and that the teachers and the administration and the students and all that they've done over the last year, especially with the COVID, coming to the end of that, hopefully, knock on something, that we can continue to move forward and make strides to get back what we lost and keep going forward. So it's just something it's a good feeling to be able to read that and see the good things that are happening. And I look forward to, in the future, to see more of those good things being communicated out to the public. So thank you.
Okay, thank you all. At this time, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Mr. Farrell, second.
Second.
Second by Ms. Fraley. All in favor? All right, have a good summer, everyone.